I'm not the one who's so far away when I feel the snake bite and tear my veins. Never did I wanna be here again, and I don't remember why I came.
Alright, well, this is the first time we're in the vault. As you can see, these are our board games. You follow me over here. More of the figures we have and stuff. Here we got books. More books. And then, of course, comics. These are all comics. Those boxes are all empty. All these boxes here are filled with pops. This goes back 2 rows, and there's a whole pile over that way. And then these are all the comics we haven't sorted through yet. And all this is stuff that's finally in alphabetical order. Once we get everything organized, we're probably going to have people come over if they want to go shopping for great deals too. Okay, we're at the round table now, in the vault, surrounded by comics.
What better place to be?
More comics than I ever thought I'd ever own. It's a lot of comics. So, let's talk comics.
All right.
You know, you've been a collector for 40 years, for sure.
Absolutely 40 years.
You worked at the original comic shop, the Escape Hatch, back in the early 80s.
Absolutely, with Doug Warren, a wonderful owner.
Yeah. I always wonder what happened to Doug's comics, eh?
You know, it's a strange mystery to me as well, because Doug Warren, of course, he owned the Escape Hatch back in the day, in the 70s and 80s. And he had the greatest collection of comic books I've ever seen and ever will see, I think, in my lifetime.
It's the only place I've ever been to where if I wanted to buy a first appearance of Spider-Man, it was there, as long as I had the money. Of course, I was a 10-year-old kid with a paper route, so it didn't happen. But if I wanted first Doctor Doom, it was there. You know, first Sandman, first Mysterio, they were all there. Every single Marvel comic you can think of was there. And that doesn't even include DC, or the Dell comics, or the Westerns. Oh, it's the most amazing store I've ever been to in my life, and totally miss it.
And well, it was also too. It had a unique smell to it, even like the smell of the old comics was amazing.
Well, Doug would be there, and he had the big ashtray on the counter. Yeah. Back when you could smoke in your own store, right? Well, you know, hey.
But
it was the 80s, right?
He also had, I mean, you know, he was also a carpenter, so he built these wonderful boxes. They were really solid for the comic books that we went through. And of course, he had stained glass windows. Yeah. And one was beautiful stained window was Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I always remember the front of the shop, because he had the 3 big comics on the outside.
Yes.
All in wood. One was Spider-Man 23. I can't for the life of me remember the other 2 now. But.
Well, that was so poignant, that Spider-Man issue, right? It was like, that's the one that stuck out into your mind.
Yeah, I missed that place. It was all right.
It was great to work there too, and he had 10-cent bins.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember getting Conan #1 and taking it out of the 10-cent bin, and Doug said, "Oh, that was a mistake. Sorry," and put that away.
Well, for me, it was like I used to get $1 a week allowance, and I'd go there and I'd buy 10 Archie Digests for $1. Right?
Yeah,
you'll never see that again, right? I slowly got into collecting Marvel after, but I was right into the Archies when I was a kid.
Well, the Archies were fantastic, and he also had, which you don't see today, Gold Key Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
You never, I mean, you know, they're where his hen teeth now, Gold Key Scooby-Doo. And as well, he had all the Ghosties. He had Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Grimm Fairy, Grimm's, what was the Grimm one? It was an old Grimm comic. Brothers Grimm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he had Haunted Tank, and all these comics that you rarely see now.
What I really liked, which I haven't seen in years and years and years, was the nice 25-cent square bound Archies.
Oh, really?
from like late 50s, early 60s. Beautiful. He had them in immaculate condition, right? For like, $2 or $3, right?
Which was a fortune back then, folks. Believe it.
Was.
Believe it. It was a fortune back then. And I worked there.
Yeah.
And I was getting minimum wage, which was not very much. And I remember seeing the wall of comics. It wasn't just, all the back issues that he had, but he had the wall of comics. And the wall of comics, I mean, anybody who's a collector now would be amazed at the amount of gorgeous, beautiful books that he had on the wall. Those old Amazing Spider-Mans. It was always a dream of mine to get an Amazing Spider-Man with the only the head.
Oh, the Ditko ones.
The
Yeah,
Ditkos.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, trying to get one of those, and I finally got one after working for I don't know how many weeks there. And I
Yeah.
picked up one, and my grandmother, God rest her soul, she scolded me for spending so much money on one comic. But I wanted to get that square with the Ditko. Oh,
Well, the
I still have it.
most money I spent on a comic there was $10, which was like a week's work for me delivering papers, right? But it was a Spider-Man number 4. It was in awful shape. It was terrible. It was like a 1 out of 10 if you're lucky, right? But it was still Spider-Man number 4, right?
yeah.
And I remember getting it home because reprints didn't exist really back then, right? So when I was flipping through it, I saw there was an ad for both Avengers number 1 and X-Men number 1 coming out that exact same month, and I was like, oh, why can't I just go back in time with my $10 and just buy like all the copies I could find on the newsstand, right? Yeah. I'd love to go back in time just to walk through Doug's store and just to see what he had.
Well, I mean, he had his work collection that he sold,
Yeah,
and I was privileged enough to see his own collection.
yeah.
And he had absolutely everything.
Oh,
I mean, all the Marvels. He had 3 Amazing Spider-Mans number 1.
Yeah.
3, which was, back then, I believe he paid $800 for one. He was in New York City back in early 80s or late 70s.
Yeah.
So he paid $800 for an Amazing Spider-Man number 1 because he used to go to drive to New York City
Yeah.
and go to the comic book stores there and bring books back. But try getting Amazing Spider-Man number 1 for $800 today, folks.
Yeah, well, I started collecting in 196, so I was able to go back pretty far for cheap, I mean,
Yeah.
back then, because, they weren't so old, right? 129 First Punisher was in the price guide for years and years and years and years and years and years and years at $2, right? You think I could have ever found that comic? No. And all the ones around it, right? I never saw that, and of course, the one time I did see it, it was like $800 or something. You're killing me, right?
Yeah, I picked it up, I believe, in mint condition at Escape Hatch.
The only two that were ever eluded me, but I did find one day, was the 121, 122.
Yes.
And they were always in the price guide for a lot more than, all the, fair enough. Death of Gwen, Death of the Goblin, great comics, right? But I got those at Second Page Bookstore
Okay.
for $8 each. And they were having a sale, 25% off, so I paid $6 each. And they were good shape. They were like 6s and 7s, right? I was grade 12, I think. It was the happiest day of my life.
Well,
Not the happiest day of my life,
But
it was a
close.
good day.
It was a good day.
I was quite happy.
when as any comic book enthusiast would know, if you would get it's not just you're saving money or getting a good deal on a comic. It's just that visceral feeling of actually, this is one of the comics I've always dreamed of owning.
Oh, Days of Future Past.
Yes.
I was buying all my comics off the newsstand back then, right? So, of course, you go down after school, right? And, I picked up 136, 137, never saw 138, right? 139, 140, 141, never saw 142, right? Second part of Days of Future Past. 4 years later, I was with my parents in Montreal, and I was just going through the back issues, and I was like, there it was, right? $5 or something. I was like, could not wait to buy that.
Yeah.
Right? Just to read it, just to see what happened. You know what I mean? It was such a good story, right? You know,
Well-
there was no internet back then, you know.
There was no trades
You
back
know,
then
you
either.
buy
I
your
mean,
comics through the mail, and you know, mom be like, "Oh, yeah, I got mine up through the mail." I didn't have a checking account to send checks, right? So unless mom went for it, I wasn't getting no comics, right? Yeah, they were good times. So, well, that'll do for this week, anyways. But we're hoping to one day have a call-in show. So stay tuned.
Stay
And
tuned. Yes.
See you at the vault.
And thank you very much for having me.
That was a bit of fun.